might be necessary. Well, it depends on how far we get and what comes up.
I mean, it's such a deep subject. I think it can be made. Yeah, I think we can scratch the surface now,
Yeah,
and
exactly. I I think you know it's funny because like I feel like there's literally nothing we almost know next to nothing about the gods, even though there's such a big chapter in history and they're supposed to have conquered Rome and things like that. And but at the same time, there's very little
it's like
information.
because
Yeah.
it's like they just change names, and so that's why talking about the gods is confusing, or the Visigoths, or because they just change name through history. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's what it seems like. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So the Visigoth kingdom was it was France, Spain, a bit of Italy.
Hmm. A good part of yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Hmm.
so it became then the Cathars.
Yeah.
Uh, it was also the place of the Jews. It's the gods who it's the gods who gave the Jews this importance in the peninsula, in the Iberic Peninsula. You know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it, it, it's the gods, and you have this phantasmagoric Jew kingdom in South France.
In South, yeah.
It's not allegedly real,
Hmm.
but it's a story. It's called the Kingdom of Septimani, the Jewish Kingdom of Septimani.
Hmm. Septima.
Because
Wait,
it,
let me look that up.
yeah, I've sent you a link by the way in your,
Oh, you did?
yeah, the last link.
Septimani.
Yeah, and maybe you can share me the screen so I can see also.
Septimania. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna do that just about now. Give me 1 second to also do the display capture here because that's annoying. That should be the one. Yep. And let me put it up on here as well. Screen 2. So Septimania, historical region in modern-day southern France. Okay, interesting. It referred to the western part of the Roman province Gallia Narbonensis. Passed through the control of the Visigoths in 462 when Septimania was ceded to their king Theodoric II. During the early Middle Ages, the region was variously known as Gallia Narbonensis, Gallia, or Narbonensis. Uh, Okay.
So this whole place, you can type then,
Gothic.
1 second, you can type, because I forgot his name, because he has a weird name. You can type Makir, Makhir, of Narbonne. It's a rabbi.
I think you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you sent that link, or I think I looked at this one at least.
Yeah,
Babylonian Jewish scholar and later
yeah. You
supposedly
can look at
read
the
the
photo.
community in
Go scroll down scroll down.
Narbonne.
Oh, they don't have the photo, just
Wait,
like in
let's check the French one.
Jewish princedom. Go back, see
Here
the photos of the book.
in feudal France. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a rabbi, and so it's to make the link between the Kabbalistic, the Jew Kabbal,
yeah.
the Jewish Hermeticism, the Jewish knowledge, because Jews are allegedly the people chosen by God to preserve the Gnostic knowledge. and transmit it throughout time.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's in biblically, let's say.
Yeah.
Um, you have this. So if you go back to the esoteric knowledge, you we can go back to the ancient Greece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say on the European side, we can go back to ancient Greece.
Yeah.
Um, and we can go then to through the Hebrew, through the Essenes, through the Manichaeans, the Paulicians in Armenia, in the Balkans, the Bogomils in Bosnia and shit.
Yeah.
Y- y- Uh, how to say? They were those kind of groups were living in marge of society in small communities,
Yeah.
and they were trying to reach enlightenment, and they were passing down, they were living in small communities. um so now I need to explain the concept of so this knowledge was hidden in certain esoteric circles.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't for the masses, it wasn't for everyone.
Yeah.
Then Jesus, huh?
No, no, I'm listening.
So this esoteric knowledge, this, let's say, just knowledge, is opposed to religion. Religion is dogma. So once you enter a religion, you're in a dogma,
Yeah.
and you just follow the rules, whatever, you just do whatever rituals, and you hope when you die, you act well in your life, and you do the rituals, and you hope when you die you go to heaven.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
um, and all the mysteries, they are written in the marble, and they don't make any sense, and they just like here to submit you and to tell you you cannot understand. So for example, the Christian have the Trinity.
Yeah.
No one fucking understand nothing about the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
It's just here to slave you, to chain you, you know.
Yeah.
But once you understand that you have a tripartition in your body and everything, so you need an initiation to free yourself from it.
Yeah. To come to
And
terms
so
with it, to understand what it means.
yeah,
And
so
obviously, but
that,
yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
affect
tell me.
everyone the same way, though. The
For sure.
Trinity, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Some people accept it for what it is. Others try to understand it, and others, I guess completely reject it or something. Or maybe they don't even think about it.
yeah. I mean, so it's an opposing thing. Why? Because when you enter an initiation program, when you go so the Bogomils, the Essenes, the I don't know whatever
The
the
Cathars, yeah.
when yeah, it's it's how to say it's a so it's the will to free the man's through knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's not by faith and ritual observance. It's by knowledge,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's deliverance by knowledge of yourself, and because when you are strictly a religious guy, you just engage your soul after death.
Yeah.
But agnostic and initiate will um, we want to achieve deliverance. Deliverance means he's gonna engage his whole being, soul, spirit, and body in this life for the purpose he wants. It's not like delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
get
No, I
the
understand. Yeah, yeah. I believe that too, and I think that's the original message of Christianity as well.
Definitely,
Thing
that's what
is
I'm saying. It's
yeah.
the gnosis.
Hmm.
So the true message of Christ.
Hmm.
This knowledge before Christ was hidden. For example, you have Platon said, uh, know yourself and you will know the universe and the gods.
Hmm.
And also in the temple, no one enter without being a geometre. You know,
Yeah.
if you're not a, so that means there weren't in a dogmatic religion. There were in there were. I mean, the knowledge was free for everyone.
Hmm. Yeah, but
You
I
know what I'm
mean, it's
saying?
still hidden though.
It's still hidden. Like, you need to enter the circle and shit to get the knowledge. And so Platon said, um, let's forget about this. Um, how can I explain? So the one last thing to understand. Do you know Schelling? He's a Dutch guy.
I think you've mentioned him before. I'm not sure if I remember.
Schelling, in his book Philosophy and Religion, said if when we talk about official religion, we haven't done abstraction of paganism, we will have realized that for a long time, paganism and Christianism lived side to side, and Christianism was born from paganism, but releasing public the mysteries of paganism.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting.
And Steiner said the Grail was the rebirth, the post Christian rebirth of the ancient mysteries.
Sorry, who?
The Grail was the post Christian rebirth
Mm,
of the ancient mysteries.
okay. Yeah.
So we
Maybe.
have
Okay.
before Christ we have all we have this knowledge hidden.
Mm,
Then Christ came, and it seems that now we have all kind of groups, communities around the world, now delivering he. It's like Christ made public the gnosis,
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
now it's
So before that, we had like Orphism. We had like the Eleusinian mysteries and things like that. So were all these different cults that had their own esoteric knowledge.
yeah,
And obviously, Orphism is known for having like these proto-Christian elements, like the sacrifice and the crucifixion of
yeah, we can
the
talk about
divinity
that.
of the
So
Godhead. Yeah. Hmm.
so when I've said to you Christianity is just releasing public and putting in a dogma. So let's say putting in stone
Yeah.
the uh, the ancient mystery.
Yeah.
The best example is what you said, crucifixion.
Mm.
Crucifixion and resurrection are not stuff that with Christianity, it's crucifixion and resurrection is literal,
Yeah.
is literally a man, a Christ that have been crucified and has been resurrected.
Hmm.
But opposed to the goal is to finish with the suffering and with this religion of crucifying people,
Yeah.
of this crucifying cult
Mm.
and the cult of the martyr, which is the cult of culpabilization, guiltiness, and contrition,
Yeah.
restriction. But you can have the gnosis is a religion of resurrection. To you die to yourself.
Yeah.
You die. You kill you believe die. Your mistakes die.
Mm.
So
It's death and rebirth.
to yeah, and to rebirth in the verb, the verb
The word, you mean?
in how yeah, in the word,
The
how
word of
the
God, yeah, the logos.
yeah, the Protestant we say I rebirth in Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hmm.
And so the crucifixion is just an alchemy process.
Hmm.
Crucifixion is um the black work in alchemy, is the alchemical death,
Yeah.
and resurrection is the red work,
Mm.
okay, in alchemy.
And what's the white one?
um the I don't know how, like, right now, to give a Christian meaning to the white one.
No, but what was it originally?
So originally, you don't even have a black one. You have only
Yeah, you have the
you
white
have
and the
on
red.
yeah, you have only the white and the red. And the white, it's about dissolution, and it's the I mean, i- we have to do a whole presentation if we want to go through the different
Well,
alchemy.
the way I know it is the obviously dissolution and wait. So solve et coagula, right? Dissolution and unification or synthesis.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
could even you could probably even
the three process are the same. It's just it's differ by the path you take to achieve the same thing.
yeah, okay, sure, I can see that, but I think so. You could even probably even say that the you have like thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Like the
Um,
Hegelian dialectic.
yeah, you
So the
can say
white and the
like
black.
black and red, and then the white one is like the synthesis,
Mm, probably, yeah.
or
I thought
maybe
the
is
red
the
one
black
was the
one the
higher
synthesis.
one. Yeah,
Huh?
I thought the red one was the higher of the two elements. Of the white and the red, I think the red one was the highest. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
Then maybe I should read the book of Stendhal,
mm.
famous writer. You know
But okay,
Stendhal, or you don't know?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. You'll have to send me a
Yeah,
link.
French writer, and he wrote a book, Le Rouge et le Noir.
Mm,
He wrote a novel, so
mm,
the red and the black.
yeah. So the black is
Don't
the
you know
shadow work.
Stendhal? I've
The
sent it you the name.
okay, Stendhal. Okay, okay. All right, but okay, let's get back to the Goths, I guess.
Yeah, so it was to say, my point was, those concepts that are in Christianity today was just an attempt of civilization to stop the spreading of the truth and of the knowledge by those societies emerging after Christ. It's like there were tradition all around the world with esoteric tradition that kept, let's say, the real knowledge of the things hidden. And once Christ arrived, he just opened the lock or opened the door, and like now it's for everyone.
Yeah,
And so now the Roman Empire, the societies are in a shock state. They're like, fuck, we need to do something about that. We cannot free everyone. Like we need to stop the spread of the knowledge.
yeah,
So in this attempt, they canonized the religion, and they dogmatized the religion and persecuted the Goths, the Visigoths,
yeah,
the Aryans, the Cathars. They killed all the Cathars, and the Cathars were the the Knights of the Grail. They were the lineage of and the mystery of Rennes le Chateau and everything. And it's very tied up. This persecution of the Catharan, the Goths, is very tied up with the history of the Jewish people. That's what I wanted to bring is at one point the Jewish tradition and transmission knowledge and the Goth and the Visigoths were in one place, in one same place in history, which is South France and Spain.
Yeah.
And that's where they all merge together. And so we can put two dates, very important dates. Um, Let me look at the notes I've taken.
Let me add something else there too. As you mentioned that the Visigoths were also in parts of Italy, but the funny thing is that the mainstream history claims that North Italy was Ostrogoth territory.
Okay, maybe you can talk
and
about
and
what is the difference between like Ostrogoths,
Yeah, that's a good
Visigoths.
question. I don't even. The thing is, I know, I know what you can look that up on Wikipedia and stuff. Obviously, like the article is about the Goths in general. Let's just open that one up as well. I think that's the Goths, early Germanic people. So first off,
Yeah, so Schelling was an interesting guy, definitely. Huh?
yeah. So let's see. I think this is around the prehistory. Yeah, this is probably still in Ukraine or whatever, wherever they were.
So you have the Goetia, which was the kingdom of
Oh, let's you know, yeah, the kingdom of.
the Visigoths.
Sorry,
Goe
the Goetia was the kingdom of the Visigoths.
Yeah, you can type Goetia and they explain you the
Wait,
timeline and
how do you spell that?
type Goetie, so Goetie.
Well, it's not on this article, so I don't know what you're. It's
Uh, let
maybe
me
on the
let
French
me
one.
send you. Let me send you.
Goethe, Goetia. So if
Yeah,
I,
there's an H. There's an H here. Let me
uh-huh.
find it.
There's a Goethe family history. No.
Yeah, and you have the Goethi, which is the art of
Yeah,
invoking
I know, man,
demons.
but I don't think there's a connection, or at least not, maybe language of the birds wise, but officially there's no connection between the Goths and the Goetia.
Let me send you the link. So here's the link. Once again,
Let me get back to the page.
check.
So at any
Here's
rate, okay, let me see what you've got. Okay, Gothi, but that's without the E after the O.
yeah, sorry.
Terre de Goth.
Yeah, so it's the land of the gods,
Hmm. Yeah, and
which
as you can see
corresponds.
here, okay, so as you can see here, you're what? Are you watching the? You can see the screen, right? Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm watching now.
yeah. So
Can
as
I
you can,
just? So you have the card. Can I just read the article?
yeah, go
So
ahead. Yeah, sure.
because you're on the map,
Hmm.
and the map shows exactly the article. So what they say in Wikipedia, they say in the chronological order, Westrogothy. Westrogoth, original land of one tribe in Sweden, uh, before the migration in the 2nd century.
Mm.
Then they say Ostrogothi, then they say the Gotland in the, it was an island in the Baltic Sea.
Mm. Yeah,
The,
probably Crimea.
yeah, then you have La Gothie de Crimée, the Crimean Gothic,
Hmm. Hmm.
southern western parts of the Crimean Peninsula, uh, uh, conquired by the Goths. Then you have the Daci, D-A-C-I-E,
Yeah.
Um, then you have of course, the Visigoth Empire of Toulouse, and then Toledo, in
Mm-hmm.
Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the Marquisa de Gothi, the Marquisa,
Yeah.
from the 7th, the 8th century in Septimani.
Yeah.
And you have the realm of Asturias. Asturias is the Spanish region with the Mozarab, and they were then integrated in Andalus.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like a wild story. Like I find it hard to believe even that first of all they would go all this way around the map, and first
yeah, it
not only
seems they
that
have
that they would
given to them a wrong northern origin.
yeah first off yeah, and second also that this whole thing that they apparently have like two distinct and that they retain these distinct features like distinct cultures all the way through their migration. And not only that, they split up into two kingdoms while one kingdom had to go through the other one. Like this
Yeah,
all
and
seems like
the
it's
funny
like
thing, the funny
absurd.
thing in still in regards with the Jews, when you look at the symbols that have left the gods in Spain and France, um, it's those symbols are very related with the symbol we can find in Orient, like China, and you have the flower of life. You
Yeah,
have
you have the Vajra, the diamond thunderbolt, which looks like a
yeah,
flower of life.
definitely, and you can see a link. How to say with the Jews, because you know how the Jews they don't marry to others. After at one point in the fourth century, I think one rabbi said like no longer marry with non-Jews,
Yeah,
but the gods kept marrying with everyone,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so how they kept their cultural identity is definitely a big question.
Well, I mean, the thing is like we the, this is the problem. There's no this map is a fairy tale. There's no identity question. They just went into Europe and basically we're all descendant of the Goths. Because like
Yeah,
whether you call them Goths or Huns or Tartars or whatever you want to call them, it's basically the same thing. Scythians. They came
yeah.
from the Ukraine
Do you think we
into
can
Europe.
distinguish them from the Hebrew or the Semitic people, for
Well, yeah,
example?
and we can. Like the thing is, like what I think happened, and because and that is where it could be gets interesting because that such a thing could survive, and I think that's basically what happened is that the Jews they integrated into the Scythians and thus into the Goths and or into whatever I think along with the waves of nomadic people that kept coming into Europe, uh, you know, once in a blue moon, let's say, there would be like a Jewish tribe among them that would integrate into
Because
Europe,
if we stick to the official narrative,
and some of them might not even remember, some of them might be
yeah,
Jewish
because
genetically.
the Jew, what I'm saying is a key point in history when the Jews said we close ourselves to others, you know,
Hmm.
our women don't marry now other men.
Hmm.
So now you're creating a genetic pool.
Well, let me tell you, I think that's basically what happened when the Khazars became Jews.
Yeah, you're creating a race
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
And
that's yeah, and that's what they did.
that's I think is not good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, but that's what they did, and that's where the Ashkenazi Jews come from. And that's the whole. I think that's the. I honestly, personally think that that's what threw a wrench into this whole, the natural integration of all these peoples into Europe. and the continuous integration, because I think
So
basically.
the thing I wanted to parallelize is at one point in history you have the Athens, Platon, Pythagore, the Greeks.
Hmm.
Greek civilization, great civilization, gnosis
Yeah,
is the origin of the esoteric knowledge, with the Egyptians and stuff.
yeah.
And at the same point of history, in the same time, you have the Babylonians bullying the Jews
Hmm.
at the same very time. And then the point of merging, the point where they meet each other, is Spain and France with the Visigoths. And that's where they are, let's say, those two groups are reunited. And after that, it's only with the Reconquista of Spain where the Jews are thrown off to. So some of them went to France, but I mean, most of them went to.
To Holland, to America,
Most of them from Spain
to
went to, yeah,
North Africa.
America, but most of them went to the North Africa.
Yeah, yeah. But so
And
wait,
when
so who
and
were
after
reunited for the
when
first
when
time?
France colonized North Africa, they went to France. That's why France is like that's why half the Jews in Israel spoke French.
Yeah,
Speaks
exactly.
French.
But so who were reunited after for the first time after all this time? The
The
Jews.
Jews and the Goths. And there's a
Uh,
distinction because you have two types of Jews. You have the northern Ukrainian Jews
mm,
and you have
exactly.
the
The
Spanish
Khazars.
Jews.
Yeah, the Khazars and the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim.
Yeah, and the Sephardim, I don't like this distinction, but the Sephardim are the one at the origin of the Kabbalah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And that's very important because there's a one living amongst the gods.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's a very intricate relation between the Kabbalah and the gods
Mm,
because it's one same knowledge they kept. Why the Jews were bullied everywhere? Because no one wanted them to release the knowledge they have.
mm,
It's just like they were just bullied like the Cathar. It's the same type of bully.
yeah.
And so I wanted to share two key dates. It's how the Kabbalah, the Hebrew Kabbalah was um put in form. It's with two books, the Sefer Yetzirah
Hmm.
and the Zohar.
Yeah. I own both of them, but
The Sefer Yetzirah was written between the 3rd and the 6th century after Christ.
hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the Zohar was written on the 13th century. Okay?
Hmm.
Those two dates are comparable. The first one, the Sefer Yetzirah, written between the 3rd and the 6th century, correspond to the installation of the Visigoths in Gaul and Spain,
Interesting.
and the creation of the Visigoth kingdom and the divulgation of the Cabal goes together. Both are going together at the same time. That's why you have this in the Jewish tradition. You have this phantasmagoric, legendary kingdom of the Jews in Septimanie, which is Occitanie, which is southern France. So in Narbonne, in all those places,
Yeah.
and so the Jews were here amongst the Cathars, among the Visigoths earlier before the Cathars. Then the Zohar. written in the in the 13th century, correspond with the Albigeois genocide,
Hmm.
which was killing the Visigoth, the Visigoth seigneur, the Visigoth kings
Yeah.
of the Grail kings. So you see the very intricate relation between the Zohar, the Hebrew Cabal, and the Goths and the Visigoths,
Yeah.
and definitely the Muslims. But that's another topic, maybe.
Well, I don't know if that's another. The whole thing, the whole point I think that I'm trying to making this video and things like that is basically that they're synonymous with the two main Muslim empires that existed until until we pushed them out. Let's say
Two mains. I didn't
the
understood.
two main Muslim empires, yeah, which I think were actually one, but we call them two because we basically split them in Europe, and I think the split happened in the Balkan
You split between like the Andalus one and the.
and the Ottoman, yeah, and the Ottoman Empire, and those are like the Visigoth and the Ostrogoth empires.
And so if I can get, if I would guess myself, just like because we
It's
are, I
if
mean,
you think
nothing
about
is
it,
black and white. Huh?
well, if you think about it, it's the same. Like it's the same genetic, because the Eastern, the Ostrogoth Empire, or if you will, the Ostroman Empire, so the East Roman Empire, or the Ottoman Empire,
Very
they
good, bro.
are they are of Mongolian stock. So they have the Khazar
And
influence
that
and
just made me think about
the Ashkenazi influence.
Ostrich,
Yeah,
Austria,
Ostrich.
Austria, Austria,
Austria as
Ostrogoths.
well. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's no coincidence either, but we'll get to that in a second. And they played a key role in this whole thing, by the way. But so the Ottomans, they have the Khazarian influence, and I think that's where Rome and the Caesar and that all that stuff comes
I
from,
think too.
right?
I
So
was like
yeah,
saying, I was like making this
Kaiser
what we
and
said about
Khazarian.
the
Yeah.
Khazar and the Sepharad maybe could be the same between the Andalus and the Ottoman.
The exactly, yeah, exactly. That was what I was trying to get at, because the Ottomans are of Khazar stock, well, not Khazar, but like Tatar stock, or like Mongolian stock, while the Andalusians are more of like let's say Arabic Bedouin stock, or but I
The
wouldn't say
only
that's
thing that
exactly true. That's
that
not
kept
true.
me the only thing that kept me to say that is because you have all this magnificent Persian literature.
Well, exactly, but the thing is, like, those existed in both kingdoms. So you had, because the Ottoman Empire had ties with Persia, and Andalusia, I suppose, had that as well. And not, I mean, it's a Mediterranean kingdom. You still have all the waterways to get there. Um,
Yeah.
and but what I was going to say is, I don't think they're Bedouins. I think the Bedouins came later, or they integrate as they fled from Andalusia. They integrated into Bedouin society, maybe. But rather, they were the Goths themselves. They were Europeans in Spain that were Aryans and Muslims and Jews.
Yeah,
You know.
and so because the thing, that's why I put a big emphasis in the beginning to understand clearly the difference. And I've put words, we can put other words, but I've put the word between gnosis and religion because we're talking about Christ and God. So
Yeah.
let's say gnosis, gnosis.
Yeah.
Let's use the Christian
Well,
vocabulary.
Gnosis is Greek. So, but yeah, either way, like Christianity, like my theory is Christianity is Greek,
Christos is Greek
basically.
too,
Yeah,
so
exactly,
what we
exactly. Yeah, but so, and what I think basically what happened is that you had like one united empire that was basically all this territory, and I think it's basically like the Mediterranean plus like all the territories of like the
Because when we
Seleucid
think
or the
after
Seljuk.
Christ, when we think after Christ, I think that was the problem. Why the Roman Empire bully the
So
Christian and then
look at this,
creating
by the
the
way.
church? Hmm?
Look at this, by the way. You have the Seljuk Empire, right? And the
Yeah, I
Seljuk
know. Yeah,
Empire
the
is a
Seljuk.
great Seljuk Empire, high medieval, culturally Turco-Persian, Sunni Muslim empire. Sunni, by the
Hmm.
way. So they are, if we believe David Ewing, the Essenes, right? So again, we're talking about the same cults and
I
stuff.
mean, because we are in the geographical place of the Essenes. That's why
If
we're
you
still there.
if you check this,
Um,
this is, by the way, this is from what's his name, Didier Lacapelle or
Villa
something.
Capelle,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he brought this up at some point, right? So it reaches all the way from Anatolia almost to India, right? And this is the Seljuk Empire, and at the same time, well, not the same time, like centuries prior, you had the Seleucid Empire. And if you check the map, it's basically the same territory, plus Macedonia, because the
Mm.
Seleucid Empire is
So,
allegedly from
so
by
for me,
Alexander the
for
Great.
me, this empire is just the Babylonian Empire.
Yeah, very likely, very likely. Or well, maybe we can call it that, but I think this is basically because like I don't know exactly how this if they are if they came first before the
Oh,
Tartars or if the Tartars
is
came
the
first.
is the Babylonian the Harut and Hamorit?
Mm,
The Horit and Hamorit people are from there.
mm.
The fucking Iranian and the Iranian bloodlines are from there.
Okay. Okay, so but at any rate what I'm trying to get at is that basically you had this worldwide empire or well that stretched from Ukraine to Europe
Yeah,
all
that's funny
across
how
Europe.
India is called Maurya Empire, like Moors.
Hmm.
Did you see on the map you just shared?
I hear
Like,
Maurya. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. That is strange. Bactria, Sanctia, Carmania, Persis. Well, at any rate, um, sorry, what was I
so
getting at?
you were
Oh yeah,
putting
yeah,
up
yeah. So, but what happened is
Seljukids,
basically that
Seleucid, and
you had, I think where it started going wrong is with the Khazars. So they decided to change their religion, and they were checking for new religions. So they invited people to to sell them on their religion.
so maybe here
And
we can make a distinction because you know Melchizedek.
yeah,
So Melchizedek, it's at the time of Babylon,
yeah.
and he received initiation. He's the priest, the Hebrew priest. He received the gnosis.
Mm-hmm.
He's the king of Salem.
Yeah.
No, it's not. He's called El Ali, the High One, the priest of the High One.
Mm. Yeah.
He, from there, we can maybe put a split between the Jews who still um, who kept living in this region and the one who went in Europe,
Yeah.
because the one who stayed obviously didn't marry with each other and creating like a race type, and the one going to Europe were basically integrated into the Visigoths and then the Andalu Empire.
Yeah.
And they were definitely a big part of this whole gnosis and the revelation of the. And that's also the concept I wanted to bring in the beginning. Is you have hidden knowledge. and then you have a prophet. We, I mean, I'm not. We say that prophet come with a revelation, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's not foolish to say a prophet come with a revelation, right?
No.
So Jesus, when we talk about revelation, it means explaining the meaning of the things.
Hmm.
Its revelation comes, something is under a veil, and you lift the veil, and so now we can see the thing.
It's
It's
apocalypse. It's the same. Apocalypse is the same word in Greek.
yeah, it's unveiling something. So that's what Christ have done. He's unveiling those mysteries in a simple way. He was giving the knowledge to everyone who wants it. And that's revelation. He's not. It's just. It's it's the same as if today one influencer became big on the internet,
Yeah.
and he puts in and he just explain in simple words, and everyone understand him when he talks.
Hmm.
He just explain in simple words the big mysteries of life and the big concepts and the big mysteries of life.
Yeah.
And he put them, and he will put it in simple words so everyone could under, understand it. And oh, 1 second, bro.
Yeah.
Just 1 second.
We're gonna have to decode the Khazars too at some point, because they're a big part of this whole story. Um, I don't know if I should start divulging it now before Pirate comes back, but yeah, I definitely do wanna get to that at some point. Because he
Yeah, so
certainly.
I hope you get what I've said about Christ, like how he's revealing something, and then that's explaining the reaction of the Roman Empire, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But like, okay, so just to finish my point, what I think basically happened is that you gotta like at some point in the Ukraine, you had the Khazar Empire. So, and I think basically what happened is that there was this one faction
Just
within the yeah within the Mongol Empire that was basically that basically went rogue. They decided so they and I think basically they had a they hit it big. They had a lot of money and they decided they wanted to make their own empire. And it's funny too because I think they got persecuted for that as well. And there's a book about it called the Dictionary of the Khazars. Let's see, Khazars. There you go. By Milorad Pavic, which is it's not actually a dictionary. It's a lexicon novel, as it says. So it's like it's got these lemmas for all these different words, and then in by um, through like a particular story, he's explaining the words and their meaning. But like the stories are all interconnected, and there's a through line going there, and there's like three books. It's divided into three books: a yellow book, a red book, and a green book, if I'm not mistaken. Which each is like how do you say um, like how it's perceived by like how the story of the Khazar conversion to Judaism is perceived by the three main religions by Christians, by Jews, and by Muslims, respectively. So I think the Green Book was by Muslims. The I don't remember, but it's not even yeah. Oh yeah, and there's two versions of the book, the male and the female version. And apparently the only difference is that there's like one sentence
Yeah,
is
that's the book I've sent you.
different. I
It's
sent that.
amazing book.
I sent that book.
Yeah, you sent me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's an interesting. So okay, so what I was trying to say basically is that what the Khazars did was they hit it big and they decided they were gonna start their own kingdom within the Mongol Empire or whatever that larger the bigger picture was. And basically, the way they were going to do that was through religion. They were merchants. Um, they were merchants, so they already knew like how to sell a product, for example, and that's what they how they were going to approach religion. So they lobbied for different religions, and they picked the one that has the most um, bureaucracy. That's basically what happened. They picked the one that has the most rules and regulations, and that was Judaism. So they massively, they converted to Judaism. And obviously, in this book, they claim that they were persecuted and things like that. And the book has been described as like a mirror of us all, and that we're all Khazars and things like that, which is fucking bullshit because they whatever. But so the whole point is that the Khazars are the ones who created, well, not the ones who created, but they continued the um, the priestly tradition. But what they did is they combined it with with mercantilism. And they probably weren't even the first because I think the Phoenicians did the exact same thing. But I guess they applied that idea, that methods to the Silk Roads, maybe rather than seafarers, they became like these Silk Roads.
Yeah, because the whole Babylonian Empire is just the cornerstone of the Silk Road, so
Mhm.
they always were merchants.
Yeah, but exactly. But so the point is that the Khazars. Did you follow the last part that I was?
Yeah, yeah, sure. That's why I'm telling you. You just said they combined it with mercantilism.
Yeah, exactly. So they're the religious wheeler dealers. That's the term that we found with Nachiketa and Raphael the other day. Well, a few weeks back. So they purely adopted Judaism because they could apply the bureaucracy to start controlling people, and basically so and I think what happened is they founded the Byzantine Empire, which was the prototype of the Roman Empire, um, and they created the priesthood. So they created the Orthodox Church, and started creating all these rituals and this whole thing around Christianity that originally didn't exist. So then they started the Nicene Creed to start banning other denominations and sects. And then when they got, when because then basically what happened is that the Crusades they all went to Constantinople and they tried to uproot them. They tried to kick them out. And then finally they succeeded with the fourth Crusade, with the sack of Constantinople. Um, and obviously the Byzantine emperors and Byzantine forces, they kept fighting back, and they for a while it's said that they retook Constantinople, but then they were conquered by the Ottomans. It was already in a weakened state, and the Ottomans came and but I don't think the details are even all that important. But basically, after the Ottomans kicked them out, they fled to Rome, and then they founded the Vatican. And basically, this whole process, because the Vatican, for example, they founded with the help of the Vatican, allegedly at least, Charlemagne came to power, and they started.
Because
But
I don't know. I'm kind of suspicious about
Well,
this Khazar
I
history.
agree. I don't think Charlemagne specifically, but what did happen is that they started fermenting different other powers to start vying for power in Europe under their auspices, under the protection of the Vatican. And that's why, for example, you got the Austro-Hungarian Empire at some point, who are basically a cross between Austria, Germanic people allegedly, and Hungarians who are Khazars. They are the same thing, but they are created to create a buffer state against the Ottoman Empire, right? Because the Ottoman Empire also consists of Khazars or like Mongols, or it's basically the same thing. The only difference is that Khazars had adopted a different culture, different religion, and they were basically fighting the Ottomans because they were trying to impose their religious structure on that swath of land which used to belong to them, you know, or they feel like they it belong to them.
Yeah, because yeah, I don't know. For me, it seems like kind of mythical people.
Who the Khazars?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Like it's the thing is like I don't think it's a people specifically. I think it's exactly the same thing as the Phoenicians. It's basically a conglomerate of powerful merchants who came together and created like a cartel.
Priesthood.
Yeah, and I mean they
So,
did the same thing in Switzerland. You know, Switzerland is also is basically
so
modern day
we call
Khazari.
them like we call them like the how we say like the inheritance of how we say uh, Babylonic priesthood.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm. And basically, what they basically did is they pushed a wedge into the empire and basically split it in two. Right. So instead of like one Tartarian empire, let's say, you suddenly had like the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths, or Tartaria and Barbaria, or however you want to call it, or the Ottoman Empire and Al Andalus. But I think they actually both sides extended all the way across America, across the globe or the disc if you'd like. So you start from Europe. In Europe, the split happens. But if you go all the way across, like the Ottoman Empire or the Tartarian Empire reaches all the way across the Bering Strait into Alaska and covers the whole west coast of America, while the Andalusian Empire had already crossed the Atlantic Ocean and had already settled the East Coast. And that's why you have in Florida all these arabesque buildings and things like that old world Florida talks about, because they were Arabs. They were Phoenicians. They had already crossed the ocean. But somehow the Khazars, or like this faction of the priests, like the Vatican, they managed to drive a wedge between those two, and basically start splitting them up into subsections, and started dominating them all. And they went all over to America. They conquered the whole of South America. They turned them all into Catholics. The Inquisition went all over the world. So it's pretty crazy, actually, if you think about it, because that must have taken a lot of effort to splinter up all these this empire into all these mini states. So yeah, you there? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should go on to because there's more about the Goths, right? If we look at other things like Gothic architecture, right? We all know it has nothing to do with the Goths. So if you put in Gothic on Wikipedia, you get Gothic revival, Goth subculture. We're also going to talk about that. I think that's very interesting, personally. Gothic architecture, Gothic fiction, and that's closely related to the Goth subculture, obviously. Um, but yeah, look at this, man. And obviously, I have no doubts that that the Goths may have built this stuff, but that's pretty crazy. According to the 19th century correspondent in a London journal, Gothic was a derisive misnomer. He pointed the arcs and architecture in later Middle Ages was quite different from the rounded arches prevalent in late antiquity and the period of the Ostrogothic kingdom in Italy. Um, Late antiquity is also another interesting term. It's probably what we call the millennial kingdom.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, that's a really interesting topic, but can I call you back in just 2 minutes? Like, give me 2 minutes.
yeah, sure, sure. I'll continue on for a little bit on my own. No problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no
Um,
problem.
so
So yeah, so with Gothic architecture, we have in the language of birds, we have the argotique, which is spelled like this. Um, so there's something about that as well. Obviously, Richard Kaijin and stuff. He connects all that to the traditions of the alchemists and things like that. And obviously, if we, you know, as we've established, I think there's grounds to believe that it's connected to the gods as well, or that the gods are connected to this whole thing of this crypto mysticism within Christianity that's trying to express itself in all kinds of ways, and that keeps getting suppressed, right? And that's basically what Gothic is. So the Art Gothique is the Gothic architecture, and it includes like the mystical symbols, the gargoyles, the arches, the how do you say um, not the sequence, like they have a uh, particular dimensions, let's say, that are defined by the golden rule and things like that, by the Fibonacci sequence and all that stuff. So there's a lot of secret knowledge hidden in these buildings, obviously. Then we go to Gothic literature, or Gothic horror, if you'd like, Gothic fiction, which here's where it becomes murky. Wait, let me just close this one because I don't want. Yeah, let's go. Um, and it's strange as well. Like it feels like such a strange or such an arbitrary thing to call like horror fiction. But at the same time, I see where they're coming from. Like the whole gargoyle aesthetic and these pointy towers and all that creepy stuff. It makes sense to associate that with monsters and scary things. But let's see. The problem is I don't have. Let's see. I need to check with our chat as well. The last few streams you've done. Hey, Tuba Lizards, thanks for joining. Sorry for the late reply. I don't know when you sent those messages because it's kind of hard to follow the chat. But I put you on a different stream now, so I can keep an eye on you if you're still watching. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot. I'm not sure how to proceed on my own because Pirate is gone for the moment and he doesn't seem to be coming back. So we'll see what we'll be doing. Let me see what you're. Okay. So my mic is low. Wait, it doesn't make sense. No, should be. No, it should be on its highest. Well, anyway, I hope I'm. I hope it's. I hope I'm. You can hear me at any rate. Now there's only one of us talking, so it should be better now. Hopefully. Ah, there he is. Okay, give me a second. Hey yo, we actually got a viewer.
Y- Yeah, we have a viewer.
Yeah. By the way, how's my mic, man? Because he said like it's low or like my mic is low, and maybe the
Yeah,
difference is.
I actually, yeah, in your stream, regularly my voice is higher than yours.
Yeah, I noticed that too, but like that was with my previous mic, so now I have the fancy new one. But
This I don't know.
yeah, okay. Let me put you back on the screen 1 second. Although, well, I don't need to do that right now. But okay, so I talked a bit about Gothic architecture and Art Gothique, and obviously that, as I said, that connects back to the Goths and all the secret knowledge, right?
Yeah,
And then now I've opened the topic about Gothic fiction, right? About
okay.
Gothic horror literature
So
and things
just to
like
get
that.
back real quick to the Gothic architecture,
Yeah, for sure.
um, so I've just explained in the beginning, we've just talked about how Gothic gods are linked with the Gnosis
Yeah.
and the Cabal.
Mm-hmm.
So Art Gothic and the Gothic Church are defined by the symbolism. They are called like that because there's this whole Cathar and Gothic and Kabbalist symbolism
Yeah.
on the churches. That's why we say Art Gothic because it's
Mm-hmm.
full of Gnostic esoteric symbols.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I explained there as well. Yeah. Yeah. So at least Gothic architecture connects back directly to the Goths if we accept that the Goths are what we said. So basically, the Cathars,
I mean,
the
definitely, and
Aryans,
the
the
gods
Bogomils, and
put this
everything.
kind of imagery because they were into that.
Yeah, yeah. But it's funny how that turned into Gothic fiction, and basically, and I think there's a double aspect to this because I think Gothic fiction is like the like the middle ground, and I think it's pretty interesting because basically it kind of arrives around the same time as Orientalism, and there seems to be these different directions in which like Western literature is going, trying to kind of establish new norms in Europe. But Gothic literature has this whole, it kind of has this whole superficial interpretation of like the Gothic aesthetic of Gothic architecture mostly, because it has this spooky, it has this association with spooky towers and gargoyles and incomprehensible symbols and things like that, and also like dark rituals and things like that. And I think a part of that is the whole Rennes de Chateau thing, like and all these kinds of stories, and the Templars, and well, mostly the Templars actually, and Baphomet, and all that stuff. Because I obviously think Gothic fiction has Masonic roots. I don't see how it could be otherwise. Um, so maybe it's how do you say it? So it could be both. It could be like a purposeful subversion of the secret knowledge, let's say, or it could be another attempt to continue that tradition instead. And obviously, there's a lot of Gothic authors like Lord Byron, for example, who were also initiates of some sort or other. And Lord Byron is interesting as well because he was involved in the Greek Revolution. So there's a whole, we have him to thank for our modern Greek education and the whole, how we perceive ancient Greece and all that stuff. But like he wrote poems about apocrypha, about apocryphal stories from scripture and things like that, and about demons and whatever, like pretty weird stuff. So, but yeah, so Gothic fiction is an interesting topic, and then obviously, lastly, we have like the Goth movement, and I've always been wondering what do Goths actually have in common with the Goths? I think it's always a funny question to me. Like, but I think, because that's even more superficial, right? It's purely based on the aesthetic. They all wear black. They all have this memento mori mentality. Um, you know, and cutting themselves and things like that, and listening to dark music and going to dark clubs, smoky clubs, and things like that, and obviously experimenting with the occult and with paganism and things like that. And there's all these how do you say adjacent stuff with the Gothic subculture.
Because
Um,
one thing that I don't know, you can help me to confirm it, but it's the rejecting of dogma, of rules,
mm. Yeah,
and
for sure.
also
Yeah.
the this kind of putting a part of society, rejecting society, which basically, society rejected the those enlightened communities that were living because they living outside of society.
Hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
tribal system. You cannot when if you just live in small community trying to reach knowledge and achieve and enlightenment and stuff, you cannot make a whole society
Yeah.
of control and
Well, it's definitely part of it. Like the goth movement actually grew out of the punk movement. So the
so
early goth
well
bands
when
were
you
like,
think of the gothic guy in high school, he's not part of society. It's a side.
yeah, that was me, by the way. I was the gothic guy in high school. Yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
he has one gothic friend, and then there's also a gothic girl, and they just hang out together.
Yeah, yeah, and they have their own little society going. But yeah, I mean, I
They,
think it's funny because like when I was little, there was like a mystery magazine that I had bought at some point, and it had like um, how do you say, like a special
this is
article
some
about the
kind of
goths. What was it called?
remembrance of something bad happened to them, all the
How do you mean, the
aesthetic of
goths?
death.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, all
definitely
the
the aesthetic of death, and basically accepting death, accepting darkness in your life, not rejecting the negative, aspect of life and that stuff like that. But obviously, like I think it goes a bit too far when that becomes its an end of its own, you know. But you know, I personally like the aesthetic still. You know, I like the music and stuff. I like the atmosphere it creates. There's something primal about these dark feelings. You know, it brings up. You know, it's kind of kick ass to be honest. I love goth music. It's just so badass, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta send you some songs at some point. It's not the only stuff I listen to, obviously, but I don't know. I just love it. But but yeah, you know, I feel like there might be something subconsciously to these people, like associating with that aesthetic and with that, because that it still comes, it comes part, it's still part and parcel of like experimenting with all these things. You know, goths are very much into like tarot and Kabbalah and like Satanism and things like that. And obviously, you know, they go in all kinds of different directions. And there's no or chaos magic and whatever or
Yeah,
crossing and stuff like that.
Gothic guys, they meet each other and they play at midnight, Ouija.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Goth girlfriend when exactly. It's like but like there's
And
so
then
okay so
the Gothic girl, she do the charm spell to the Gothic guy in the high school she like.
yeah, exactly. So what I remember like I had like a magazine I bought once, like a mystery magazine, and they had like this one issue was like was all about the goths at some point, and they had like I don't know, it was probably fake or something, but they had like an interview with some random goth chick who told them like the whole history of the goth movement and stuff like that, and she was telling them, yeah, you know, we have like our own spiritual tradition, you know, like a goth can generate like a pyramid of like a Merkaba, you know, a pyramid around their body, like an aura that protects them from evil and things like that. And she was going all up. And I was like, what the fuck is this all about, you know? But like, I think, you know, I think there may actually be something to that, like gods having like this, you know, this maybe this sensitivity
And in
for
general,
spiritual things.
the Gothic in high school, he became a pagan then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most of them are
He be
pagans or like Satanists or like, you know, but that's
No,
like,
you know, they became a pagan Celtic. They do. He married the Gothic girl, but they do a Celtic marriage
ah, okay, yeah,
wedding.
yeah, yeah. Mm.
They-
Yeah, some of them do that. Some of them just become normal. Just become normal.
Just have a job, regular job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, but I think there may be something to this. You know, there may be some kind of primal
Maybe there's
calling
something to
in the
the.
music that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
oh, there's another connection, dude, and this one's major. Like, guess what? Guess what? You know about music, right? About like the skills, right? The skills in music, the tonal
Yeah.
skills. Right. Okay. So, do you know what the minor skill is, or the sorry, the sad one is? The sad
The sad scale.
skill. Yeah.
It's a scale.
I already
When you
gave you the
play it,
answer, but
it's sad. Sad theme.
no,
It's
no,
a
no.
sad theme.
No. I'm talking about like so you have a skill is like do re mi fa sol la si do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a skill. So you have that the one I just sang is a major skill do re mi fa sol la si do, but then you have the minor skill, which is the sad skill, and it's also so that and that goes do re mi fa sol la si do, right? So it's a minor
Okay.
skill, but it's also called the Arabic skill, and that's the skill most Arabic music is played on. Basically, it has the minor phrase, the minor
Yeah.
mode. Let's say what's it called? Yeah, the minor whatever. Um, but so goth music is all sad music, so it's all in the minor scale. It's all in the Arabic scale. It's like why
Yeah.
why is that? You know, and it's we're automatically wired to perceive that skill
Or
that music
Oriental.
as sad in Europe.
Ah, Assad. Okay.
What? You know, that's weird. That's actually how, because I don't think Arabic music sounds sad per se, you know, but like
No,
if
it
you,
depends. You have many scales, but
yeah, 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 of course.
definitely the most used, the most used, yeah, scales are the or some mysterious, nostalgic
Mm,
sound, mysterious, nostalgic, but it's cause the iconography in the movies and shit. We
mm-hmm.
were used to it. We were you
Yeah.
every time they put Alibaba or agents, James Bond is in Marrakesh or
Yeah,
Egypt. They
Spanish
put
has a, Spanish music has a lot of minor too, yeah.
yeah,
And
you can
that's,
go, yeah.
yeah.
The Andalusian music, the music, and also, I mean, Oriental music is just the problem is because the Western music has put everything here, had to write it down with the seven notes, and you know.
Mm, hmm. And not only
Mm.
that, Western music has a larger emphasis on harmonics, on creating
Yeah,
harmonics
yeah,
between like different voices, different instruments, and this and that. While Eastern music has more of an emphasis on like the tones between tones and overtones and things like that. So there's more of an
exactly.
emphasis on single instruments or like spares instrumentation with a single voice or a main instrument that is
Yeah, and the main
going.
thing is like to you play it on a higher tone, and then you play it on a lower tone, or
Yeah,
the
exactly. Yeah,
opposite.
yeah, yeah. You create a bigger difference between the main melody and the instrumentation.
Yeah, and so yeah, yeah, there's really two approach, and I mean, yeah, I think we kind of reduce the Western music, the Oriental music as this sad scale, but it's just one aspect of it, and it's very big because, so for example, in a regular guitar, Western guitar, you have these threads, or I don't know how to say, but you have cases.
Yeah, you have the wait. What do you mean? The tabs? You mean on
Yeah,
the
so
frets? Yeah, the frets.
you know where the threads are, I don't know,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the frets. Yeah.
So you know where to put your finger.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. You have fretless guitars. You have also, but and fretless instruments are interesting because they. It's interesting how this little piece of metal actually limits your sound. You know, if you remove those, you get a like
totally,
on every instrument, you get like the same. You can have this sliding effect.
it
It's much
limits a
better.
lot, and
Yeah,
that's what amazed me because the thread make like between two threads you will have no variation.
almost no. Yeah, yeah, almost no
Yeah,
variation.
almost. But I mean, for example, on a guitar, you have no fucking
But that's
variation. Like,
that's
you
because
could put the
that's
figure at the
because it
very
creates a
beginning.
compartment. You know, if you press down on
Yeah,
it, it compartmentalizes the.
yeah, you
It
cut
creates a
always at the
sharper
same place.
distinction. Yeah.
Whenever you put the finger, the chord will be tense on the same place every time. You know, um, because the thread
Yo,
and so
a fretless goth bass. God, that would be awesome, dude. Holy shit. You do have
and
goth bands with how do you
well,
call
my
them?
point was so the Western guitar has no thread, has threads,
Yeah,
but when you play Eastern instrument, the equivalent of a guitar is a wood. You have it in Western music, Middle Eastern, North African, or even in France and before the sitar,
yeah.
and so uh, there's no thread on it.
Mm-hmm.
The wood, there's no thread on the wood,
Mm-hmm.
and
I've
so
played on this
that
before. Yeah.
yeah, there's no thread, so that give a whole other possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's just different way to approach it, and yeah. So the Eastern music is very much about improvisation.
Yeah.
It's almost like you never can play the same thing again because you have no thread.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So every time you play is kind of unique.
It's funny because the only instruments in Western music that have this privilege, let's say, are violins and violin-related instruments like
Yeah, and
violins,
they're so hard
violas,
to
cellos, and double bass.
exactly,
Yeah.
and they're hard to play, very hard to play, very
Not
special
that
instrument.
hard. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it depends. Like, if a violin is hard, but like the lower you go, the relatively easier it gets, I think. So because generally, like the viola, for example, has a very minor role in orchestras. The cello has a usually, but cello can be very refined, obviously. All four can be, especially if you're playing in a quartet. You know, you have a lot of action going on, interplay between different instruments. Um,
You can, and then yeah, bro. So yeah, there's two types of music. I don't. Then you have the mystery of all those Austrian compositors
mm. What I
where
sorry, the Austrian what?
I mean Mozart and Beethoven
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah, 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 yeah. I know. That's also interesting. Like, there's obviously some tomfoolery going around with their repertoire and things like that. I
then
think that
in the Gothic
overwhelmed
church you have the orgs,
the
the
the organs. Yeah, yeah,
organs,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
organs. So that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And y- yeah,
I honestly
or,
think the organs may have. I don't know. It's kind of a tough thing to say. I think they may have, maybe they, because the organs are also limited. You know, you have these
because
pedals and things that you
God's
have to press. You can't.
God's use the flower of life as symbolism, and they were aware about the water, being the interface between the spirit and the matter,
Yeah.
and so that's where the organ take place,
Mm, okay. Yeah.
the music.
Yeah. Mm. But it's because it's interesting because we do have the same buildings, the same churches, as as like they're basically the same building as mosques and stuff. All you need to do is like change a few things around, maybe add a minaret or something like that, or maybe break a minaret down to build a church,
Yeah,
to change it into a church. But the mosques don't have the organs, and the organs have a limited. They are like a piano, so you are limited to specific notes. You can't play in between them, like you could on an
yeah, but
ultra
people were the
famous.
mosque in general were circular.
Mhm.
Uh,
Ah, okay, yeah, yeah. While churches
okay,
have a cross formation,
yeah,
for
and
example, sometimes.
but I don't think so they were circular. For example, can they
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Saint Sophia in
Yeah, yeah,
Istanbul,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and before circular building. Then in a lot of places you can see at one point they have added the towers.
Mm-hmm.
The towers weren't there originally, and they added the tower um, is a sex as a sex symbolism.
Ah,
Okay,
to the minaret, you mean?
yeah, they added so for example Saint Sophia, you can see the towers,
Mm.
but if you go back in time, there were no towers.
Yeah, yeah.
You have just those circular building
Mm-hmm.
without towers.
Yeah.
And acoustic buildings, and where people obviously were chanting, maybe,
Mm.
I don't know about that.
The minarets
Like,
were for the chanters, right? They're on top and they chant from the Quran, right?
I was they say, but when you look at a lot of mosques and also church, you can definitely see. I don't know if it's good or bad, but you can definitely see the sex symbolism in the architecture
Yeah.
because
Okay. Okay. Mhm.
you always enter by the ass.
Okay.
Always in a church, in a mosque, you enter by architecturally in the bottom on the bottom.
Yeah, the roof was remade allegedly. Um, and that
Saint
it's
Sophia?
funny too because yeah, because David Ewing talked about that as well. So like that was like 200 or 300 years after it was built. Allegedly, they had to rebuild the roof, which is probably bullshit. And it was probably built at the later date that they say that they were rebuilding the roof. but but yeah, I don't know. I don't know it because it is funny that the roof hasn't had any problems since, you know. So that's one of those stories that they make up to give the building a longer lifespan than it has probably, or that or to fill in the gaps in history.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's also great, you know. I love those kind of places because they're like it was a mosque, and after a church, and
mm.
after a mosque,
Yeah, and
and after a
it also
church.
has the waterways underneath, or the cisterns, you know, the Byzantine cisterns that are world famous, and then all the other cathedrals that they dig up underneath. They find all these Roman baths, and they say Roman baths, but I think they're just cisterns, just like in
Yeah, they
Constantinople,
always say
and
Roman.
they just have water underneath because first off, like the faithful need to go wash themselves before they enter the church, actually, but that's no longer done in Christian churches, and I think they only stopped doing that
That's
to
something
distinguish
that was
themselves from
kept.
Islam. And it's
Yeah,
also
that's
funny
something
because
that was kept by Muslim.
yeah, because here in
In
Greece,
in
like
every mosque, you
yeah,
have a water place
mm,
where people wash before going pray,
yeah,
and you have always this water place.
yeah,
And so today in modern places, it's just bathrooms, you know,
mm,
with water and shit.
mm.
But if you go in the third world, it's really a
It's a
water place.
fountain like
Like
in the middle, and you have to. I've seen things like that. Yeah, for sure. But like it's here in Greece, most churches still have like a how
a
do you
water
say it? Like
place.
a yeah, well, not a water place, not like a big fountain necessarily, but usually they have like a small fountain where you can like wash your hands, drink some water, things like that.
Yeah,
And
and
there is
the
a
water place
famous
was the water place was often in the core
mm,
of the church.
and what you
So
also
you know
have.
the core of the church.
Look at this. You'll like this, I think. Uh, I am
You
showing
know
you a screen.
when the cross on the point of reunion of the cross, there was when the water was, and people were either at the right wing, left wing.
So if you look at this, this is very famous. You know, you see this on fountains and churches everywhere, like this. And what it says is "Nipson anonymata mimon anopsin." So this is how do you say palindrome, right? You can read it from both sides, from right to left and left to right. So this is
Yeah,
language of the
and
words, right? And
that's
it says
yeah,
wash your sins and not just your face.
yeah.
And if you read it the other way around, it says the same thing. And then
Okay, and what I wanted to say is because in the Christian symbolism, very deep, you have this thing. You have conception,
mm,
baptism, um, then what we have? Communion. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
communion, or what we have?
communion,
Conception. You know, when you go to the church, you have conception, then
yeah,
you have baptism,
yeah,
then what is it's
confession
communion, right?
maybe.
confirmation, and
Confession,
then communion.
confession.
Yeah, there's a one between, and then there's communion.
Mm,
And so conception is where you're born is mystery a bit, you know,
mm. Yeah,
and
yeah, for sure.
that's apply to also the birth of esoteric knowledge and the gnosis, you know. So you have conception, then you have baptism through water, and then you have auto baptism through fire, and then you have communion.
Yeah, and the baptism through fire is probably confession then. Confess, heretic.
Heretic, confess or die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Convert or die.
So anyway, have we covered everything? I think. Oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. Where's the Wikipedia page? Oh, I don't remember. I closed it. Okay, yeah. But so I don't know. Is there anything else we wanted to?
So me, I could say is there is some strange link between the Goths and the Jews. I don't know if it's that they are kind of have a opposite faith in history, and they kind of represent Oriental and Occident,
Hmm.
or am I just tripping? And I think they're just really closely related through history. That's what we
Yeah,
can say.
they're definitely related, in a
Uh,
roundabout way, I guess, or in a direct way.
so the Goths were Berbers, the Goths were barbars,
Mm,
the Goths were Aryans,
mm.
they were Gnostics, they were Muslims and also Cathars,
Yeah,
and they were also Jews.
yeah,
Because all the Jewish tradition was taking place in Narbonne, just
yeah,
as told you, the Jewish realm of Septimani.
yeah. And they
And
were also sorcerers, apparently, with the
yeah,
Goetia.
and I've done the obvious link between the apparition of the Sefer Yetzirah at
Mm,
the time of the installation of the gods and the kingdom of the gods
yeah.
in south of France and Spain and Italy. At the same time, in this geographical place, the Sefer Yetzirah is written, and then the also the Zohar, written at the time, coming out at the time of the Albigeois genocide
Mm,
in the 13th century.
yeah.
And so there are Jews, Christian, barbars, Berbers, uh,
Tartars.
Cathars, all of that, Aryans. They were persecuted by the church
Mm,
a lot, and they took different names throughout history, and at every inquisition or persecution, they are splitted. So they resemble a lot the Jewish.
yeah.
When you're persecuted, a part stay, a part goes.
Mm,
So in the place where they stay, they still have are Jews or Visigoth, or in the place where they go are also the same.
mm.
I don't know how to say, but
Yeah,
so yeah, they traveled, seems to have traveled along the Mediterranean coastline.
yeah.
Could we say, yeah, they were persecuted by the church, antagonistic to the church.
Mm.
So,
And it's interesting
well,
because the church is basically like a spin-off of their own. It's basically because it's like the other branch of Israelites, basically, that went and mixed with the Scythians, and then later there came another Babylonian admixture that started, kind of
and so it's just
parasitizing.
like the Inquisition time
Mm,
is the same as was what was leaving the Aryans. So the Visigoths, they were living under Inquisition
Yeah.
by the church.
Mm.
I think they became Catholic, got in the 5th century
Mm.
to don't have problems with the church anymore and shit.
Yeah.
But they were still keeping, the Visigoth Empire
Mm.
and their tradition,
And they were still persecuted.
and they were still persecuted, and they became. This is just in the 5th century, so then we have the whole rest of the history. They they bizarrely, the Goths and the Jews totally fits
Mm.
uh, a part of, because for example, Saint Augustin. I have Algerian origins. In Algeria, we say Saint Augustin is Algerian. It's official.
Mm.
He was born in Algeria, lived in Algeria. He's an Algerian Christian saint, and his shrine is in Algeria.
Mm.
Saint Augustin is a fucking father of the, the Catholic. He's the Catholic, Saint Augustine.
Yeah.
And he's a Visigoth, a Berber.
Yeah. But he was also like a Gnostic originally.
Uh,
He was a Manichaean originally.
yeah, yeah, he was. So Manichaean are part of the thing. Manichaean, Bogomils,
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
And I mean,
Essenes,
he introduced basically he
Paulicians.
introduced Neoplatonism to Christianity. He basically created a Platonic model for Christianity. So that's also interesting.
Maybe, maybe there's a lot to do with Paulicians
Sorry, with
and the Paulicians.
oh, okay,
Paulicians. Yeah,
Paulicians. Yeah, maybe.
Paulician,
Oh,
which were just like the Manichaeans
mm.
and the police. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Some kind of mercenaries, monks,
Police.
or I don't know.
Oh, we'll have to
So
look
yeah,
into those. Yeah.
yeah, and those all kind of groups. And so this guy was a god, this guy was a Berber,
Mm.
Saint Augustin, and so they were Aryan. Then you have the Muslim Empire. They seem to fit in perfectly. No persecution. Totally. Um, we don't know if they're converted, if they kept their faith, because it was Muslim territory,
Mm.
but still, they
Al
were still,
Andalus, you mean, or?
yeah, Al-Andalus.
Mm-hmm.
But they went all until very far north in France,
Mm.
until Poitiers.
Yeah.
Poitiers means 1/3. Poitiers,
Mm-hmm.
tier. You know,
I see. I see what
look
it.
at Poitiers. It's very far north of France.
Yeah, all the way up to Carcassonne, basically.
Much higher. Poitiers is
Yeah.
very north. And they have Narbonne, Toulouse. Toulouse was Visigoth city.
Mm.
Then a Muslim. They don't say a Muslim, but it was part of the Muslim territory, bro. At one
Yeah.
point.
Mm. Yeah,
Um, um,
that's the thing. They're trying to create this fictional divide between the Visigoths and the Muslim
yeah, that's weird.
kingdoms of
And also,
Al-Andalus.
then the Muslim phase is weird too, because at this point, if you want to read the writing of the Visigoths, you go to Ibn Arabi,
Mm.
you go to Fariduddin Attar, you
Mm-hmm.
go to those, those Andalusian writers,
Mm-hmm.
which are written in Arabic.
Yeah.
Also, a strange thing is if you look at Proto-Hebraic writings, alphabets, it looked like runes.
Of Proto-Arabic.
Proto Hebraic letters.
Ah, okay.
It looked like runes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen them before. Yeah.
Look like runes, right?
Yeah.
So there you have like a kind of northern origin of.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's. It looks a lot like. I mean, it's like Phoenician is the same. Looks the same actually.
Yeah, so
Alphabet. So if we go there, it's the same thing essentially. And obviously, yeah. There's people who are making connections between the Vikings, the Phoenicians, and the Finns and Phoenicians and things like that.
and
uh,
so
mm,
there's a weird thing about the faith because I was talking about how Jesus came and all those communities, these Gnostic communities emerged and were kept alive through Arianism, and the Arian strangely became Muslim then. And so, what was that Muslim thing? And was it an attempt of the Gnostic to make a religion also? You know,
mm-hmm. That's
yeah,
what it looks like. Yeah, yeah.
to compete against others.
Mm. Or to
Was it an attempt?
not just to compete. I mean, they manage to they are competing, but to stand there, to be able to stand their ground, to defend themselves against persecution.
Exactly, because small communities. So maybe, yeah, maybe,
Uh, Tuba Lizard says it looks like the stone found in Minnesota, the Kensington stone. I've heard of that before. I think I've seen that before. Kensington.
and Goetia calling upon demons is magic.
Yeah.
And all of this tradition come from the Arabs. And not the Arabs from the Middle Eastern, not the Islamic Middle Eastern, but the Northern African and Andalus Islam.
Mm.
That was all the book of magic, and you can trace back. Everyone who's a bit on magic knows that's all the magic. How to make talisman, how to make all the ceremonies, all come from the Arabs at one point.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And alchemy.
When you trace, huh?
And alchemy.
Alchemy, everything. At one point, you find yourself studying people living in Andalus and writing in Arabic. Even if you are in Jewish, you're gonna at one point study Maimonides.
Mm. Yeah.
Maimonides was Maimonides write in Arabic and was living in Spain.
Mm.
So were they really Muslims? Because it seemed in Spain there were Jews, right? Jews. You have this, you have this kingdom of Spain of Andalus,
Yeah.
and the Kabbalists say the Kabbalah writing come from there. The
Yeah.
Christians say the Gnostic things come from there. The Muslims say their occult knowledge come from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? So is the realm of God? It's not only Andalus, it's southern France, part of Italy, and then I mean they
By the
made
way,
babies.
just to bring this one home, like the most major connection with the gods we can find is probably this one, right?
What it is? Oh yeah,
Yeah, the god, like the word god, just that, it's pretty funny because I think you could almost say that this is like an act of it's actually an act of like irony or like how do you say like like the priestly class that say that hijacked our religion and or that created religion. Basically, they created this word to basically remind our place. Yeah, it's kind of it's pretty funny if you think about it that way. If there's any relation with the goths in the word God.
Definitely. Because also you say forgot. To forgot is forgot.
Oh
Because
yeah,
you
yeah,
claim here forgot.
and it's both. It's for God,
Yeah.
and you forget your your gothic roots.
Yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, you forgot once you arrived here,
Mm,
and you arrived here forgot.
yeah.
You forgot.
All right.
All right, bro.
Yeah, we've reached about 2 hours almost. I think it's about time we close it up. It's
Yeah.
3 a.m. now. I need to go to bed. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and I've actually been looking forward to doing this for a long time now.
Yeah, I
But
think we can make part two, going a bit deeper into maybe characters or.
yeah, for sure. If we find any new information, I think
I mean, there's a lot of characters in it. We can go through the scenes, through the Bogamirs.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean there's a few. So I mean, just for the record as well, for anyone watching, there's a few ideas I have for like the near future. I want to do another one like this about the Palatines, the Palatines, and another one about um, Gog and Magog, and also some other funny connections that I've made with. Well, we'll get there when we get. I don't want to spoil it because those are pretty fun topics, I think. So obviously, as we go, we'll probably revisit the gods here and there. That's probably inevitable
Yeah.
because it's one of my favorite subjects.
How you reach the page history of grimoires?
Sorry,
Have you reached the wiki page about grimoires?
green.
The wiki page you were sharing now about grimoires.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it's on Goetia. If you look up Goetia, sorcery Goetia, it has a subject on grimoires, and obviously the Goetia, like the
You
minor
know,
key, the
grimoires come from the guys who were talking language of the birds, and it means to mystify the writings.
okay. How does
La
that?
grime, grime means to do makeup.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So it's basically like
A grimoire
medieval,
means grimoire means a book you cannot read it in medieval time. You know,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
grimoire.
a medieval makeup artist.
And so yeah,
All
so
right.
that's connection, gods, Cathars, medieval cult shit.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Some
So
wild connections we made tonight. I think. Hope I hope this was fun for everyone. Thanks for all the views. Like we're getting a bunch of people coming on board right now, but unfortunately we're closing. But you'll be able to watch the rest on my channel. But yeah, thanks for showing up, and we'll see you guys next time. All right, have a good one, guys.